In this example that uses our new EPP trigger points in combination with our REST API, I want to look at automated workflow assignment for when samples reach the end of a workflow and they need to optionally be requeued for further analysis, maybe for orthogonal validation. I want to draw your attention to the DNA QC protocol that I have on the dashboard that has 0 samples in it right now. So let's begin. This step has been configured to kick off a script that checks to see if samples require orthogonal validation, and the script is kicked off at the very final trigger of the step, when the next steps have been assigned and the lab user is finishing the step. We've added workflows to the configuration endpoint in our REST API in Clarity LIMS 2.0. In this case, you see the active 3730 Sanger sequencing workflow that we're going to be assigning our samples to. Samples can now be assigned directly to workflows via the REST API. And when I look at the details of this workflow, I see all the protocols that are involved in it, DNA initial QC, followed by Sanger sequencing, and then the individual stages that the entire workflow is comprised of. In this example, we're mimicking a data analysis step in which we've got some placeholder file placeholders for files to be attached. And then we've got a field here on each sample called validate, and it's required before we can leave the screen. So I'm going to apply a mixture of yes and no values to these samples. A validate value of yes will get reassigned to a new workflow called Sanger sequencing. The trigger, the script we have configured on this step, is going to kick off when we click Finish Step. "70 samples were assigned to the 3730 Sanger sequencing workflow. And when we return to the dashboard after completing this step, you will now see those 70 samples are queued and waiting for DNA initial QC as the first step in the Sanger sequencing workflow for orthogonal validation.